Hello and welcome to a hopefully short video on changes to the Revit template. So we're up to version 1.1 of the template. So first things first, on our opening screen you can see there's the new splash screen with the copyright and location information. You've seen that hopefully on a separate video which has been uploaded to the intranet. So after that, let's go to a working view. Let's grab a grid and draw a grid in, and you'll notice now we've got an extra grid called the tenancy grid. This is specifically for retail work or similar, where you want to set out particular area lines that need to be consistent through drawings and through vertical as well. So it's on top of the normal areas or room data you may have. To coincide with that, under the filters, there is now a grid for tenancies so that those grids can be turned off independently of the other types of grids. They can also be overridden. Another small change which has been done is, pardon me, if we go here to our fall arrows, these will all be consistently open arrows now across all the different annotation types. Back to our starting view, the name here that you can fill out for your Revit file uses a smaller font size so that you can have longer file names in here. A very small one, and possibly something that a lot of people haven't been using yet, but if you have, sweet. We're just going to go through to our schedules and to our joinery schedules, and we're just going to activate this view here. Now the kicks on all these are actually now separate shared families or nested shared families. In the past they weren't. The reason why that's now changed is that they now work in a different way with the host component, so they should be more flexible. Additionally to that, if for example you wanted a project that didn't have a normal kick and had legs instead, you could easily edit that family now, save it as a different type, turn it into legs, reload it in, and those legs become available across all the content here, not just for one, which would have been the previous way it worked. Okay, so let's go back to our level if we can, so into a section view. As you would know, there are quite a few levels already available. Now though, we've got an SD style level. The purpose of this here is it's all on one line, because a lot of the times during that SD or design stages you'll be working at maybe 1:200, maybe even greater, and these levels can stack up a lot closer together than the main level here can. A small one, revision clouds have now under their object styles been changed from black to red. So under here now, that's now a red line type for revision clouds. Within the view templates, under schedules it should be, we now have a 3.5 millimeter text size for a view template for schedules. Back to our legend view, and if we go down here, the toilet suites that have been loaded up as default, it's a minor change, but the 1428 compliant toilet now shows no essentially toilet seat, and the one that wasn't 1428 compliant now does show a toilet seat. While we're here, we've now got a generic motor park or motorcycle parking for use within the template, and then there's the multi version as well. They are a generic size. I couldn't find any standards on what they were, so I discussed it with some of my retail team colleagues. Another small change here is, and it's probably not for most people, but in conjunction with our 3D visualizers, let me just quickly go over to here again. there is now the option within the line weight here where this can be changed to change the line from just a small thin line to a long extension, if you will. Now, the reason this has been done is because when this gets exported to 3ds Max, the 3D visualizers can then hopefully use this information and find out where it cuts other planes, as opposed to having things sit above surfaces. It should mean that the visualization becomes better. For most of you, there's absolutely no need to look at adjusting that unless you're trying to export for the 3D visualizers to do their job. Another small one here. I'm just going to go to a cover sheet. Actually, I'll go to the CD cover sheet. So if I go to revisions, you'll see we've already got a revision set up here with this particular date. And when I apply a cloud, you'll notice that that now highlights the title block, identifying that this date is not a proper date. Now, if I go back to my revision guide and I then, fill this out with whatever I need to, then that goes away. But a word of caution, it does have to be in the correct syntax. So anything other than that syntax won't show it up as a color. So if you do want to use that functionality, consider how this is shown here. Try to get used to using that methodology. And obviously the way you would use this is if you want to make a change in a drawing but you're not issuing it yet, you fill out the revision in Revit, apply that date tag to it, cloud what you need to, and then when you need to come back and actually revision it, open up the revision dialog box, fill out the right date, and go to your sheets and PDF them. A very small one, but under View Templates as well. There is an internal 3D view template set up now, which essentially uses hidden line and ambience to create hopefully a fairly pleasing internal view if you're doing 3Ds. There's a fairly big one here now, which hopefully should please a lot of people. I'm just going to zoom out and bless me. I'll show you the legend phase again, and you'll notice there's a great big wall here with a whole bunch of doors placed on it. The reason this is here is I've now got a sheet set up in the file under door schedules graphical. Now that wall and that view is set up at this particular view here, and I can activate it, and these are all set up to be, I guess, created on the legend phase, demolish the legend demolition phase. And this is a way to do a graphical door schedule without having to do call-outs on the page or within the actual real model. There is a need to obviously coordinate between these doors and the ones that actually exist in your model. But if you do need to add a new door in the graphical schedule, you simply grab one of the existing ones there, copy it across, select the door that you might want to schedule up, put whatever annotations or tags that you want to see with it. And then I've also got some tags here which can be used to tag the door and its data. Now at the moment this is all very preliminary, so if we need to make modifications to that tag, I would highly expect that to happen. Windows can be done in exactly the same way with this same wall if you need to do that as well. So it just removes the need and requirement to do elevations within your model, which may then get moved if the model changes. This can be all set up for your project, and it should all just hopefully work if you wish to use the graphical schedules. Now, along with door schedules, I have actually added a couple of new parameters. As a door type, there's now a seal type, and within the instance there's now hardware function and door stop. To go with these, we've also included some indications or some guidance on what you may actually fill out your door schedule with. So you can see here we've got panel types, some vision panel seal types, door stop types, etc. So what you might see in a schedule, depending on how you wish to document your doors, is over here you may have a door seal, you may have a door type, which is a fire rated door, and under seal type you'll see a smoke seal or fire seal. In a schedule, in a specification, you may then have an entry which says fire seals and the exact seal that you're using. But obviously that needs to tie with your whole documentation methodology. The other thing we're looking at is the door hardware function, and this is the idea of what we're looking at here, with the idea being that when we send our door to a hardware specialist, they can then use that information of the hardware function to determine what makes their specification, which they then provide back to us. Once again, this is just a guideline. Use it as you need to for your documentation. And there's also a small note at this page here, which the practice coordinator raised as an idea of just trying to make sure that, because we don't normally, or in a lot of cases don't specify all the information, as a protection to make sure that the contractor actually does coordinate all the elements of the door that need to go together. Another one on the view templates. As a request, we now, view templates, that's correct. We should have a roof plan template. Once again, you are quite free to update those within your project as required, but certainly if you are doing that, I'd love the feedback so I can try and tweak the template file so it actually works even better for you. Okay, so those are the main big changes. Be aware that the doors themselves have all had a fairly good update since the last template, because as I did the door training, I realised there was a few tweaks that needed to occur in those. But hopefully actually no, I've completely forgotten. There is another thing. This is definitely a work in progress too, but if I'm just going to my checking and support page, I've now got live legends. So the way this works here is that on the top here are legends that are model geometry and real annotations that exist on the legend phase of your project. So if I just go to a quick legend view here and zoom out, there's a whole bunch of elements and geometry that sits here. That's what we're actually looking at in this view. So when we go to this view, that's a real wall, that's a real door, that's a real tag. These are all real annotations as they would appear in your final views. They're set at the same scale that I'd expect your final views to be at. Now these are drafts at the moment. You can see there's one hopefully for each plan or of the major plan types. If you needed to, you could obviously combine these together. You may choose that you want to put this on a cover page, or alternatively, if you've only got one view type of each, you may decide to put these actually on the sheet as well. Certainly when I read drawings, that's what I like to see, but I do know there's a lot of extra work. Below them are old style legend views. So what I've tried to do is essentially mimic as much as possible the view above. In a lot of cases you can't show certain elements in a certain way on a legend view, so I've had to use detail line work to replicate the view above. Now I have sent this off to a couple of people to have a look at. They've provided some really good feedback, but at this stage I haven't integrated that into this template, and certainly any more feedback you have on it would be great. So I guess the way this would work in a real project, at least in my thoughts, is, for example, I've got a GA plan here. I model up my GA plan, and I'll go to a ground floor, for example. Now what I can do is tab between the two views, so I'm just control tabbing. And what I might do is I go to my floor plan and go, well, I need to do something. What do I need to do? Well, I need to tag my levels. So I select the level, hit control tab, then hit CS for create similar, and then I tag my levels. I go back to my legend views, I need to tag my rooms. So control tab, CS for create similar, tag my rooms, and go all the way down my list, making sure that I've tagged everything or shown everything on that legend view. So one part of it is to be a legend view, the other part is to be a ready reference for items that you may, or annotation items that you may wish to put on your floor plans, or your reflected ceiling, or even your roof plans. So none of this essentially is designed to be this is what you must do. It's a baseline, it's a start point, and then you either choose to use it or update it, modify it as required for your project. It has been worked in conjunction with the documentation guidelines so that the same sort of information seen here is what the documentation guidelines suggest. Bearing in mind, as I said, I have had feedback, but that needs to be integrated. Now, I'm pretty sure that that's the major stuff now. I can't think of anything else that I've put into the file that is revolutionary new. Hopefully you'll like those small updates. Oh, I keep forgetting. I do have more stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is quickly look under areas. And under the areas, there's a couple more area schemes. So you can see there's now GFA and GLAR. It's also got some descriptions there. So GLAR is tenancy, but check with the Property Council for calculation rules. And then GFA is town planning DA areas, and check with your local council on how you calculate that. So it gives you information on what to do. Now, the reason this has been brought in there is because a lot of our teams need GFA, and so I've created a special plan with that. And there should also be, but I'm telling lies, there should also be some schedules, but I haven't included those yet. But those area plans now can be used at the beginning stages of your project. And so that everyone's using the same area plans for GFAs, which means if you have building files and use a GFA plan, you can link it into a site file, and it means that you can essentially schedule in your site file all the GFAs from all the building files. So with that, I will try and stop, so this video is not too long. Excellent. Thank you.